I started using Visual Studio Code in 2017. I have learned a lot about this code editor since then. At first, I started with Windows Notepad, then I moved to Sublime Text, and a few months later, I was introduced to Visual Studio Code, which has ended up taking over everything coding for me. I found out that you can install an extension into VS Code. Then I installed the wrong extensions. We all make the mistake of adding up things that we don't need into our work tools, especially when they are free. Our brain tells us since we are not paying for it, then there's no harm. When I started using Visual Studio Code, I installed every extension they're using to VS Code, thinking that will make me a better developer. Yeah, I was a VS Code noob, totally fact. It was unfortunately I had to learn my lesson the hard way. VS Code started getting slower day after day, sometimes freezes and then crashes. The more the extension, the more time it takes VS Code to load. I was frustrated and it got me thinking maybe I need to change my laptop to an high-end laptop so that VS Code can run smoothly. If you're watching this video, I'm sure you've installed one or more VS Code extensions. For those who don't know what VS Code extensions are, these are add-ons provided by third parties for you to achieve some features that are not included into VS Code itself. We'll look at these extensions in category. Coming up, the first category will be the developer favorite theme. Night Owl is a fine-tuned theme for those of us who like to code late into night. The theme comes with a lot of colors that will make your code editor look cool and easier to read at night. To install Night Owl, go to Extensions, search for Night Owl. Click on install and then select your color of preference. Yes, the material theme is one of my favorite themes in VS Code. The best thing about this theme is that it comes with a lot of variants. After you've installed the material theme, you can select one of the material variants from the list. Wonder Pro is another dark theme extension in VS Code that has 3 million installed already. This means developers love this theme a lot. This has been my favorite theme and I love the way the colors are simplified and easier to read. Wonder Pro gives you 3 options to choose from: Wonder Pro Flat, Wonder Pro Darker. The last on my list of themes is Peacock. The difference between the other themes I've mentioned and Peacock is that Peacock only affects some parts of your VS Code. After installing Peacock, you'll likely see no effect. To activate Peacock, click on F1, type Peacock, choose Peacock, change to a favorite color. Choose one of the predefined colors. It mostly affects the title bar, active bar, and the status bar elements. Something you should know about Peacock is that it only works in a workspace, and you can use Peacock alongside with your favorite theme. Now, when I have 2 workspaces open, I can differentiate them. The color you choose saves. Now, when you reopen a workspace or a folder, it has the same color. Prettier is an opinionated code formatting. It forces a consistent style by reorganizing your code with its own rules that takes the maximum length into account and wrapping your code when necessary. To ensure that these extensions is used over other VS Code extensions you might have installed, make sure to set it as the default formatter in your VS Code settings. Now you can write code as fast as possible without formatting it yourself. This will give you more time to focus on the code itself. VS Code extension that I've saved my life, or let me say my code, a lot of time. After installing auto rename tag, when you change the opening tag of your HTML, it automatically changes the closing tag as well. The same thing applicable vice versa, which means when you change the closing tag, it changes the opening tag as well. Sometimes I will change the opening tag and it will take me time to find the closing tag to do the same, and you might even forget to do the same for the closing tag. Well, one error like this might not be a big deal, but more of this mistake can cause an issue in your code. We all make mistakes, right? Talking of making mistake, the next extension is called spell checker. I'm one of those who make error when writing text in my code. Sometimes I won't notice the text errors in my code. That is why I recommend you start using code spell checker to know if your text is correct. Unlike text editors, code editors don't check for errors when writing text. After installing Code Spell Checker, to underline the tag or text that is written incorrectly, then you can right click on the text and then choose the correct one instead. When it comes to comment in style, the best extension to use is Better Comments. We all know that having the same comment color might be a little difficult to recognize. Better Comment gives you the options to style the color of your comment. This helps you recognize the comment and know what it stands for immediately you see it's due to the color it has. Personally, whenever I use a red color, it means I should be careful doing anything to that code. That comment gives you the option of 5 methods to use in your comments. You can always change your color or symbols to your preferred ones in the settings. Another extension that offers similar thing is to do highlight. Categories of extensions we'll be looking at are in no category. These are extensions that might not be in a particular category, but they are as important as the one I've mentioned before. So I packed these extensions together. So the first extension you will need in this pack is VS Code icon. This is a great extension if you're someone like me that like to style things up. After you've installed a theme from the themes I've listed earlier in this video, the next thing to do is to install VS Code icon if you want to beautify the way your file and folders look in your code editor. After you've installed VS Code icon, the look of your folders and file changes and they look good and the way they look before. Let's talk about CSS Peak, which is the next extension on this list. CSS Peak is one of my favorite extensions. Even harder to find a class in 1,000 of CSS code. The best way to make things easier for you is to use CSS Peak. After you've installed the CSS Peak extension, to look for a class in your CSS, just click on Control and right click on the class in your HTML. If you have the class in your CSS, it opens it up for you. Have you ever seen other developer posting a good looking screenshot of their code on social media like Instagram and you wonder how they do it? Well, the extension they use is CodeSnap. This extension is great if you want to share your code on social media in a good looking way. It takes a screenshot of your code and save it as an image. After installing CodeSnap, you can take a screenshot of your code by selecting a code, right clicking and clicking CodeSnap. Click on the shutter button to save the image into your disk. Lastly on this list is the live server. This is by far the most VS Code extension and I'm pretty sure a lot of you already know this extension. The live server creates a local server on your computer so that you can view whatever you're coding directly in your web browser. Fact remains that most of the extensions we installed are not needed. So I recommend you go through your VS Code extensions to make sure you've installed the needed extensions. Alright, thanks for watching. I'm curious, comment below how many VS Code extensions did you install before watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. Do not forget to subscribe not to miss other videos like this, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out. Bye bye.